Excellencies all, as we prepare to start, the next session is the open sessions. I first want to acknowledge our online guests, my good friend Reginald Burt from Caribbean Youth Environmental Network. Reggie, I know you're online in the virtual space, but I'm sure that if you had the sense of smell virtually, you will be able to enjoy the aroma of the country that is recognized as the country with the active ingredients. And I also recognize Mr. Sean Wu from the CARICOM. Welcome to this session with us. I want to hand over now to Mr. Calvin James, who will be looking at the status of the CSIDS, the Soil Care Phase 2. Over to you, Calvin.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The session we are contemplating is session 1, status of CSID Soil Care Phase 2. We are in the second phase of a 2-part preparatory project, which would lead into the Caribbean Transformative Project. Our partner in this endeavor is the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Represented here today is Dr. Cruz, who is the land expert assigned to this project. I will yield the floor to Dr. Cruz, who will take us through some remarks and presentations.
Thank you, Mr. James. So yes, my name is Maria Cruz Ferro. I'm a soil expert at the Subregional Office for the Caribbean of FAO and also for the Global Soil Partnership. With all protocols observed, I wanted to thank you all on behalf of Dr. Renata Clark, Subregional Coordinator of the Subregional Office for the Caribbean of FAO. Wanted to thank you on her behalf for allowing us this opportunity of participating in this important event and presenting on the current status of the CSIDS Soil Care 2 project. Please, next slide, please. So all of you know about the Soil Care 1 project, which is the Caribbean Small Island Developing States Multi-Country Soil Management Initiative for Integrated Landscape Restoration and Climate Resilient Food Systems. So this phase 1, as all of you know at this stage, was strengthen the Caribbean countries with the tools for adopting policies, measures and to reform the legal and institutional frameworks to achieve LDN. So why? Next slide, please. So why this second phase? So if all these objectives of achieving land degradation neutrality have been already included in phase 1, why a second phase? Why is still relevant this objective of achieving land degradation neutrality? So as per your speeches and intervention this morning, it's obvious that it is, in terms of allowing a better implementation of the 3 UN conventions, not only the UN CCD, but also the UNFCCC on climate and also the CBD on biodiversity, right? So, and there's still things to do. Although the soil care phase 1 has achieved quite a lot, it's still things to do, still issues to address, in particular drought that has an increased focus under this soil care phase 2, and also the tools and the approaches have been demonstrated to work in phase 1. So it looks smart to keep in this path through this phase 2 of the soil care that has as objective supporting the CCIDs in applying and scaling the principles of LDN to effectively decrease land degradation, increase climate resilience, and improve livelihoods through sustainable soil and land management. Next slide, please. So, in comparison with the soil care phase 1, this phase 2 has a wider scope in geographic and conceptual terms. It has a strong focus on climate challenges, particularly on drought and flood risk in agriculture from an LDN perspective. So using LDN for addressing these challenges. Otherwise, so this project is funded by the, as you know, by the land degradation focal area of the Global Environment Facility. So the main approach has to be always LDN, although the objectives, the co-benefits can be also on climate and other aspects. It has an increased accent on youth with several actions, as we will have a quick overview later. An accent on youth with several actions specifically addressed to youth, and an increased emphasis on the sustainability of project results. And this is because it is the second phase of this soil care program, and it's going to be a 10-year endeavor, right? When soil care phase 2 is finished. So making sure that the results are sustainable is something important to have into account. And in addition, it employs the approach of the soil care phase 2 employs deliberate strategies to benefit the region's food security and towards the 25 by 25 plus 5 initiative. Next slide. So these are the 5 components, the 5 components in which the project is structured. First one is on updating soil information and data. As you know, for the 8 countries that made part of the phase 1, a lot of work on soils, on obtaining, collecting, producing information on soils have been done with national surveys, mapping of soil properties, and making sure that these data are available for being used by the stakeholders. So this same effort will be done for the 6 countries that are joining phase 2. Then the second component 2, is focusing specifically in avoiding, reducing, and reversing land degradation. It's an on-the-ground activity, on-the-ground component. Then the component 3 is focusing on drought specifically. So land management for addressing drought risk and flood risk, but with a higher accent, a higher focus on drought. Component 4 aims to enhance food systems and provide alternative livelihoods through transformational finances. And here it would be included the LDN transformational fund mechanism, and also other activities addressed to youth and vulnerable groups in particular. And finally, component 5 is on capacity development, and this is a big component and it's an important part of the project. It aims to enhance the scientific and technical capacities in the region and also strengthen knowledge management and strengthening knowledge use. Also in policy, through mainstreaming the principles of sustainable soil management and sustainable land management into policies in support of the upscaling of the LDN framework implementation. As I was saying before, sustainability of project results is a principle of the project. And two aspects are, we think, more important. First one is the huge capacity development component, and also the very important innovative finances effort. I wanted to, as I know that it's not my area of expertise, the finances are not my thing, so I'm going to put the accent on capacity development, in particular in the large investment that will be done by the project in strengthening the regional research, advisory, and capacity building facility, which is a PISLM organ, is a PISLM part, and that has been created under Soil Care 1 to provide, to conduct research and to provide advice for science policy making, right? Science-based policy making. So, a large effort will be done under the Soil Care phase 2 to make the RACNAT into a regional leader on technical capacity development on LDN, and to make it a global reference for Caribbean research on land-related topics. And this includes a number of actions, specific actions, that will be organized as a 10-year strategic plan for guiding its development. Next one, please. Yes, so this slide shows the targets. So you know that the GEF funding requires to set targets in relation to specific core indicators, what they call core indicators. So these are the core indicators that are relevant to the project, and the targets expected at CEO endorsement in the right column. So the core indicator 3 is on restoration, area restored, and it's expected that 1,780 hectares will be restored under the project. Second line is CI4, so core indicator 4 is about area under improved practices, with more than 11,000 hectares of landscape under improved management being targeted. From that actions, the actions under CI3 and CI4, it is expected that more than 1,200,000 tons of CO2 equivalents, so greenhouse gases, will be mitigated. So emissions reduced in more than 1.25 million of tons of CO2 equivalents. Also as a result of actions, underground actions in croplands, it is expected that agrochemical use will be reduced in 1.5 tons, right? And this is core indicator 9. And all these actions are expected to benefit directly more than 9,000 people, of which 40% will be women. For all this, a budget of, you see there, almost $18,000 million is available. Next one, please. So from all the components and from all this, when all these targets of the core indicators are achieved, the project is expected to deliver these 6 outcomes that are in green. And this is the theory of change of the project. So there's a problem, the project will be putting together a number of actions that implemented in synergy, they will deliver these outcomes that are improved capacity to monitor and report on LDN, avoiding land degradation, so reducing the amount of land that is degraded, reducing flood and drought risk. The countries will have the capacity to scale out and up the SSM and SLM strategies through innovative finances. The region will have an increased technical and scientific capacity, so production of knowledge and use of knowledge capacity, and the LDN approach could be mainstream in regional policies and in a cross-cutting way. So all this will improve decision-making processes, will allow that, will scale out and scale up the results of the project. So this would be the midterm impacts that would end in the long term in achieving land degradation neutrality. Next one, please. So this is the timeline of the formulation of the project. The formulation started in June 2024 when the PIF, so the project identification form that had the concept of the project, was approved by Jeff to be included in the in their work plan. Then from July to October 2024, the product was being drafted, and here I need to acknowledge Diane. She was Miss Diane Roberts, that she was drafting. She did a very good job in drafting in these earlier stages of drafting. Then in November 2024, all of you participated in a validation workshop for agreeing on the project ideas and let's see, endorsing the ideas to be further developed and to be further refined. So from December 2024 to April 2025, the project document drafting continued, and mainly with the drafting of the annexes. You know that this is not just a document, a simple document that has like 15 annexes with different aspects being explained in detail. So it's a complex document. And in May 2025, so last month, the project document was shared with countries, and it is expected that, so it will be submitted in June 2025. The submission package is being finalized as we speak, with last clearances internal in FAO, but it is expected that this Friday my colleagues will start uploading the project to the Jeff portal. So it will then be considered submitted. And what happens next? From the submission, there will be a period in which the Jeff Secretariat will review and send their comments to FAO as implementing agency. FAO, together with PISLM and the country's collaboration, we will produce the responses to that comments and amend the document as appropriate, and resubmit the document to the Jeff. This will, I mean, we have like this 5 months for getting everything sorted, and in December, the project will get, if everything goes right, will get Jeff endorsement. Why in December? Because as it is a big project, more than 5 million, it needs to be approved in the Jeff Council. Other projects, smaller projects, can be approved at any moment, but these big projects have to go to the Jeff Council for approval. Then, once it's approved, it's endorsed by CEO, paperwork starts, agreements, and all that, and expectations. And this PISLM will tell me if this is realistic, that the first quarter 2026, the funds, everything, the paperwork is finished, and the funds are released, and the project starts. Last one, please. So, as last thing, wanted to stress that FAO recognizes the importance of this project, of the topic of soil health and sustainable soil management for the Caribbean, and of this project in particular, and is happy to continue supporting the program, the soil care program, in its phase 2. So the team from FAO that has been working and will happily keep working on this is the Subregional Office for the Caribbean, so where the LTO and the budget holder are hosted, and where there is a team for technical support. And also we will have the support of teams at FAO headquarters, so the Global Soil Partnership, the DROT team, the JEF team, and others that will be providing technical support as required. And in this regard, I wanted to highlight something. So FAO can sometimes be not the fastest agency ever, right? And there are other agencies that are more agile, and there are agencies that are more flexible and even cheaper than FAO. But I wanted to stress here, and I do this with pride, that FAO is outstanding in technical capacities. And we are happy to put that to the service of the project and to the service, of course, to the Caribbean countries. And with this, and a thank you to the team in SLC and to the team in headquarters, an acknowledgement of their work. I will finish my intervention. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And through you, Chair, I want to thank FAO for their continued support. And we look forward to the completion of this exercise, which brings us to decision 3 of this 4th session of the Ministerial Council, CSID Soil Care Phase 2, where ministers, it is recommended and ministers are asked to approve 4 paragraphs. If I can have the decision up. If not, colleagues can refer to their package, decision 3, PMC.4. Okay. Okay, so while they work out that technical glitch, I invite excellencies to refer to their hard copies. I would quickly read through the chapeau, line by para. We will then agree or amend or don't agree before we go into the decisions. So the PISLM Ministerial Council, recalling decision 1 of the 4th task force, decision 1 of the high-level forum, and decision 2 of the high-level forum. These decisions spoke to the evolution of soil care into soil care phase 2. Also recalling decision 2 of the first Ministerial Council. Excellencies, you recall that at that Ministerial Council, we got the marching orders from you to proceed to this stage. Acknowledging that the work done by the PISLM Secretariat in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, and the Global Environment Facility, GEF, to draft via a consultative process the project identification form for the project entitled, and the long title is Caribbean Small Island Developing States Multi-Country Soil Management Initiative for Integrated Land Scale Restoration and Sustainable Food Systems Phase 2, fondly known as CSID Soil Care Phase 2. Excellencies, as was pointed out by my colleague from FAO, that was successfully done. Noting that CSID Soil Care Phase 2 PIF was presented to the JEF Council and approved in June 2024. And finally, further noting that the draft project document, otherwise known as product, for CSID Soil Care Phase 2 is completed and has been submitted to the JEF Secretariat for approval. I, through you, Chair, place these 5 paragraphs of the shuffle for the consideration of excellencies.
The matter is open up for discussion and Barbados.
Thank you, Chair. In reviewing the decision before us, I was wondering and reflecting if we could not insert a paragraph that says noting the following participating countries and list all countries that are involved in soil care phase 2. Because I think when you look at a decision like this, it would make some sense to have a schedule of the countries that are participating in phase 2.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The Secretariat takes note of this recommendation without objection. We further recommend that this amendment can become new paragraph 4, which would read, noting the following participating countries of CSID Soil Care Phase 2, and we list the 14 countries. And new paragraph 5 will begin with further noting that CSID Soil Care Phase 2 PIF was presented to Jeff Council and approved in June 2024.
Chair,
Yes.
Chair, I just have one comment. That paragraph said that reads with noting, further noting. I find it kind of contradicts with item number 1, because it further says that the project document, the product, is completed and has been submitted to JEF for approval. But yet for all, one is saying to direct the PISLM to complete the project document for seed soil care phase 2. So I thought the project document was already completed. If it's already completed, it's well, you know, but if the draft is completed, then you no longer have a draft. You have a completed draft. Therefore, therefore it means that you no longer need to submit to complete. You need to submit for the funding, in my opinion.
Yeah, true. Secretariat takes note of Grenada's concerns, and pending further recommendation from Grenada, it should or could read that the draft, further noting that the draft project document of CSID Soil Care Phase 2 is completed and or would be completed for submission to, or take it out, because we are directing the you are directing the Secretariat to submit in paragraph 1 of the document. So maybe, yeah, you're correct. Let's just take it out. Yeah, so we take it out.
But Chair, I wanted to ask another question, if you don't mind. Because Dr. Cruz, in her presentation, indicated that the project has 5 components. Yeah, and one component has to do with capacity building. Good. Do you have a percentage allocation of the funding by component? Because I want to suggest that a substantial allocation of the project by component, a substantial portion goes towards capacity building, which I think is important for our region, in terms of ensuring that our region have the correct and the right kind of human resource that we can depend on to help us to implement projects of this nature. So I don't know if you have a percentage allocation. You said it was $5 million US, right? $5 million US. Once the Council of the GF approved it, it will be around $5 million US, and that $5 million is to be shared among the different components of the project. I'm just saying that for our purposes, it would be nice if the biggest portion, if the biggest percentage goes towards capacity building for our region. Chairman, that's my submission for consideration.
FAO, you want to respond? Please do.
Just give me a second, and I'm opening the full document. That takes a bit of time. So, component 5, as per today, has an allocation of 3 million, around 3 million and a half USD, with an additional 2 million and something of co-funding. But I didn't get into these details, but component 5 has a huge capacity development aspect regarding the RAGNAT strengthening, and the RAGNAT will have coordination capacities on the capacity development under all the other components. So the execution of the actions that link to the other components in terms of trainings, in terms of specific actions to develop the capacities of the stakeholders, will happen and will be funded under the other components. So would be this 3 million and a half plus the corresponding amounts allocated to the trainings and the components from 1 to 4. This regarding capacity, regarding, let's say, technical skills and technical capacity development in the stakeholders. But the RAGNAT itself, I didn't want to use a lot of time on this because it's more technical, and I wasn't sure that you were interested. So the RAGNAT has a, it will be strong. I mean, it will be very strengthened in terms of its capacity to train other people, to transfer knowledge to other people, to do research, and with funds allocated to staff, to new facilities, to facilitate collaborations with other entities, international, global, also within the region, with universities. It will be in charge of other aspects of the project, such as the CARSOLAN, collaborate with the CARSOLAN for laboratory aspects, will be hosting or advising for the newly created soil samples archive for the whole Caribbean, and the library attached to it, so the library of data. And also this will be under the RAGNAT. So the capacities of the RAGNAT will be big. And personally, this is my technical view, I see this as a huge asset for this project and for the Caribbean itself. And I see this as the main, of course, together with funding and together with transformational funding, I see this as the best asset of the project in terms of its sustainability of the results and capacity for out and upscaling. So I cannot say now the exact amount of capacity development. Actually, there's an annex on that, but I will need to search for that number, but for sure around 5 million.
Yeah, so just to add to what our colleague from FAO shared, we can look at it like this. There's a dedicated component to capacity building, which is about 18% of the total budget. And that's a country by country training, like we did in phase 1. In component 1, we still have the upscaling of your soil labs. So, for example, in Grenada, you were brought up to tier 2.
1.
1? Yeah. So in this phase, you'll be brought up to tier 2. So that's an additional capacity. To add to what, and to concur with what my colleague from FAO said, the second part is, for the first time in your region, you would have a dedicated capacity building institute. So in other words, when we do the training in component 5 and the other components, it wouldn't end at the end of the project. You would now have a facility that continues the work throughout the life of PISLM. So we're looking at approximately 25% of the project just dedicated to capacity building.
What I also gathered to is that you have a capacity building percentage for every single project you do, every component. Every single component you do, you have a percentage allocated for capacity building based on what you're saying.
So the capacity building activities, all of them, as in terms of creating capacities in the broad sense and also in training, are coordinated under the component 5, but all components have their own actions allocated. As Mr. James was saying, it seems smart to do it like this, for not having ad hoc actions isolated to each other being implemented, because this has been proven to be not as successful as we wanted, right? So having this coordinated and having this planned under the RACNAT creates much more possibilities and probability of success in terms of durable capacity development.
Thank you. Thank you for your explanation. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Excellencies, the recommendations for changes are now on the floor for your consideration. And the changes are, we added the list of names of countries and remove the last paragraph. So the new chapeau would have 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. 5, sorry. 5 paragraphs with a new paragraph listing the countries that are participating in Soil Care Phase 2. Are there any objections to these changes? So, Chair, there are no objections to the changes, so I yield the floor to you to, well, we'll probably approve the entire thing at the same time. So let's now move to the decisions. There are 4 proposed decisions. Decision 1 directs the Secretariat to work with its partner agency, FAO, and the UNCCD to complete the project document and submit it to the JEF on time. So it reads, directs the PISLM Secretariat to work with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, and the United Nations Conventions to Combat Desertification, UNCCD, and other partners to complete the project document for CSID Soil Care Phase 2 in accordance with the earliest submission date by the JEF. Are there any Excellencies who wish to comment on the first decision?
Chairman, I don't know if I explained myself properly, but that's the point I'm making. I'm saying that the project document, reading from the preamble, is, or the draft project document is already completed. Yeah? Because it says before further noting that the draft project document product.
No, we've taken that out.
You're taking that?
Yeah, we took that out. Yeah, so that chapeau has been removed. So now we're on the decision one, directs.
You take it out.
But the direct still says to complete the document, which is already completed.
Okay.
The direct still says, after all this preamble and other partners, to complete the project document. But the preamble on top indicates that the project document is completed. So I was just saying not to complete, but to submit for funding.
Okay. To submit. So take off. We take off. Let me see.
So directs the PSLM
To submit.
to
the
submit
project.
project for financing.
So replace complete with submit.
Submit, because the project document is already completed. That's what I understand.
All right.
Chair.
Okay. Any
So,
other?
and Chair, in that regard, it is valid to keep the the further noting.
Oh, so you want to keep that?
Yeah,
Okay.
keep it.
Okay.
It is further noted.
All right.
Because we made the adjustment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Grenada has submitted an amendment in the decision one of decision 3, paragraph 1 of decision 3, replacing complete with submit. So it now reads, directs the PISLM Secretariat to work with the Food and Agriculture Organization and the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and other partners to submit the project document, CSID Sort Care Phase 2, in accordance with the earliest submission date by the chef. Are there any other comments? All right, so we move to, Chair, there are no further comments. So we now move to paragraph 2, directs the PISLM Secretariat to ensure that the lessons learned from phase 1 are analyzed and consolidated in phase 2 and ensure that youth participation is further enhanced. This is now on the floor for consideration, Chair.
So, Chair, not being miserable, but perhaps the word consolidated may read much better if we replace it with the word incorporated. Nice suggestion, Chairman.
All right. Okay. So it's on the board. So, thanks, Grenada. It now reads with the advice from Grenada, Chair, directs the PISLM Secretariat to ensure that lessons learned from phase 1 are analyzed and incorporated in phase 2, and ensure that youth participation is further enhanced. Any other comments, Excellencies? Okay, Chair, there are no more comments. Paragraph 3 states, directs the PISLM Secretariat to ensure that there are synergies between CSID Soil Phase 2 and related work being done by CARICOM and the OECS. Any comments? Yes.
ensuring the participation of youth a separate line to let it stand alone as a point of strength by itself, just a one-liner.
I concur with Barbados because I was just discussing it with some kids. It somehow seems to be two separate things that have been stated there.
Okay.
Just allow me to give St. Lucia the floor because I know that his minister, I don't know if he's still in the virtual space, but I know you have to leave because you have some business to attend to. So I want to thank you on behalf of the executive and entire committee for your participation and guidance so far. And we look forward to having more intense dialogue as we seek to do the work on behalf of the people of the Caribbean. The floor is open to you.
Thank you, Chair. It was indeed a privilege to have been part of this process here. I am making a departure. It's only because of I have a flight to catch back. I would have rather remained here, to complete the process, but unfortunately, this is what it is. But I think we have made tremendous progress in our session here today, and I am very optimistic that the entire agenda and program, will be completed even before the rest of you leave here. So I just want to thank you, Chair. I want to just wish the executive director, Calvin James, again, well on his future, endeavors. I know we'll miss him, but he will still be around, to help us with the work of PISLM. He's brought us a long way. So, thank you again to you. And I wish all the colleagues and other participants, I wish them well for the rest of the meeting here today and a safe trip back home when that is.
Chair, if I may, let me also, before Alwyn leaves, thank him for his service on the executive committee. He is the outgoing chair, and there will be a new chairman coming in. And so, on behalf of the secretariat, we thank you for your service. Thank you. Okay, so we have a new paragraph 3, which reads, directs the PISLM Secretariat to ensure that youth participation is further enhanced in phase 2. Is that language okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and there was no feedback. Well, we have now a new para 4. There being no feedback, Chair, I move on to a new para 5, which reads, tasks the Executive Director to report to the PISLM Executive Committee at least once per quarter in writing, advising on the progress made and challenges in implementing this decision. The said report shall be shared with all participating parties and relevant CSOs. Are there any excellencies who wish to comment on this paragraph? Barbados.
Yes, can we add, where we have CARICOM, OECs, can we add also including associated institutions, for example, University of West Indies? Paragraph 4.
Or paragraph 4.
Sorry, you're not at 4. My apologies, sorry.
You want to go back to 4? You pass. Yeah, no 5. If you can go back to 4, that's no problem.
It's good speed, but sorry to go back.
No problem. 4 which was strict before.
Okay, yeah, fine.
So
We just add-
CARICOM, OECS, and
And associated
associated.
institutions, including University of West Indies.
Yeah. Okay, Chair. So I now commend amended decision 3 of the Fourth Ministerial Council for your consideration.
After listening to all that was said, I wish now to recommend decision 3, PEC dot 4 for your consideration and adoption. Is there anyone who would like to move a motion to adopt decision 3 of the 4th session of the PISLM Executive Committee?
I move the adoption as amended.
That's amended.
Thank you, Grenada. Is there a seconder?
Barbados.
Barbados seconds. Excellency, this motion as amended is now placed on the floor for adoption. Are there any members who wish to oppose the motion? There being none, this motion is now adopted by unanimous consent. Excellencies, decision 3 of the 4th session of the PISLM Executive Committee is now adopted by unanimous consent.
So we move to this one.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, we now place on the floor for consideration decision 4 of the Ministerial Council, status of the Caribbean Land Degradation Neutrality Transformative Project. Hope we're not too late, but to give opening remarks on this, I give the floor to Dr. Cheney from ICA. Dr. Cheney, the floor is yours. Oh, Mr. Rollins, the floor is yours. You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah. So while we he's there? Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Loud and clear.
Wonderful. Let me start by apologizing for the absence of Dr. Chinese Martin, who had to have another commitment. So he's asked me to fill in for him and make the brief presentation. I'm going to share my screen. Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I see.
Are you seeing it now?
Not yet.
In my side, yes.
Apparently it's being shared, but not being presented to us.
There's an arrow there below the people icon. If it's one of those.
Yeah, press for thing now, so I don't know if we can move on until you get that started.
Yeah, let's see. You may have to move on. Here.
Okay, Mr. Rollins, you may have to just do a brief 5-minute ad lib.
Yes, well.
We're pressed for time.
Okay. Just to inform the meeting that ICA has been working closely with PISLM in facilitating the submission of the LDN project to the GCF. We did make a submission towards the end of March. And I should emphasize that this project is one that includes 14 countries. The NDA for this project, the National Designated Authority, is Dominica, and the accredited entity is the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture. It's a US $50 million grant funding, a duration of 6 years, and the funding to develop the full proposal is estimated at $1.5 million. And we did have the concept note shared with the NDAs, and the project focus addresses both adaptation and mitigation. We anticipate about 500,000 direct beneficiaries and about 1.75 million indirect beneficiaries. The executing agency will be the Partnership Initiative for Sustainable Land Management, PISLM, and our regional partners will be the CARICOM Secretariat, the OECS Commission, the University of the West Indies, the University of Bahamas, and the University of Guyana, as well as CARD. The project has 3 broad objectives. First, it seeks to formulate and implement measures to better manage natural resources, including soil, land, forest, and water, for food and nutrition security. It seeks to develop innovative mechanisms to create resilient local livelihood opportunities. And third, promote sustainable and climate resilient approaches to facilitate scale-up and replication of NDN approaches. There are 3 components that go along with those objectives, which seek to, the first component dealing with the issue of formulating and implementing measures. And the second component dealing with enhancing cooperation on sustainable climate resilient approaches. And the third component, implementation of ecosystem-based mitigation and adaptation for a climate-resilient forest sector. And I should emphasize that the way that the project is constructed, it provides a lot of flexibility for countries to design interventions that suit where they are in terms of the time frame, the nature of the intervention. So it allows for customizing of the interventions according to the country's needs. So the project was included in ECA's pipeline for the GCF. We did have a preliminary review by the GCF. The GCF has immense interest in funding this project, and we consider it to be well positioned to be confirmed in the GCF 3 cycle. And therefore, we remain committed to working closely with the PISLM to have this project submitted and included in the GCF 3rd cycle. And ECA stands ready to continue the cooperation and the partnership with the PISLM in this regard. Thank you, and my apologies for the technical details with the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. The chair has asked that we proceed with the approving of the decision. Just to reiterate PISLM's continued appreciation for the work of the accredited entity, IECA, in this process. And so, Excellencies, we put decision 4 of the PISLM Ministerial Committee to the floor for consideration. We would go through the chapel. Could I have the is that sharing on the screen? Okay, so I would like to then invite Excellencies to refer to their hard copies, as we do not have at the moment sharing capability. And it reads, the PISLM Ministerial Council recalling decision 2, COP 12, decision 3, COP 12, decision 9, COP 12, 11, COP 12, and 12, COP 12. And this had to do with the Conventional Party meeting that was held in Turkey, where the LDN methodology was adopted. There were 2 parts, that is the development of LDN target setting projects, and once that was done, the development of transformative projects. Also recalling decision 6 of the 4th Task Force, decision 5 of the 3rd High-Level Forum, and decision 3 of the 4th High-Level Forum, which maps the timeline leading towards the formation and marching orders given to the Executive Committee to get this process off the ground. Further recalling decision 3 of the 1st Ministerial Council. Excellencies, you would recall last year it was approved, and we then set out to draft the concept note, which is being discussed today for onward submission to the GCF. Acknowledging and with appreciation the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IECA, acceptance to serve as the accredited entity for the Caribbean LDN Transformative Project, noting the mandate given to the PISLM Secretariat to serve as the executing agency for the Caribbean LDN Transformative Project, and acknowledging the work already done to date in the development of the project concept notes. So we now put these 5 paragraphs to the floor for your consideration, Excellencies. Grenada?
Chairman, I hope I'm reading the right page. All right. But what I gather from the page is that we are still in the concept note phase of the
Yes.
project. We do not as yet have
No.
a project document. So in my opinion, the first thing that we have to do is to have the project document completed.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
All right. So therefore, once the project document is completed, then we can collaborate with the AE, which is the accredited entity, which is ICA, and then we could speak about the role of PISLM Secretariat in the execution of the project. So therefore, in that regard, Mr. Chair, I suggest that item 2 be placed as item 1. Item 2, which says request that the UNFC, the focal points and national designated authorities or focal points to collaborate with the PISLM Secretariat and the AE to develop the project proposal for submission to the Jeff Secretariat. So I'm just saying that this 2 should be number 1.
In the decisions. Okay,
Yeah,
I see
and
you
then,
now.
and then number 1 becomes number 2.
Okay. But okay, so we take note of that, but you have no problem with the chapel?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
just the order.
All right, good.
Just the order
So
to change.
Grenada is suggesting in paragraph 1 of the decision becomes paragraph 2, and then paragraph 2 becomes paragraph 1. St. Vincent and the Grenadines concurs. Anyone else? Dominica concurs. So it will now read paragraph 1 will now, the new paragraph 1 would be requests the UNCCD focal points and etc. Collaborate with the PISLM Secretariat and the AE to develop the project proposals for submission to the GCF. And then paragraph 2 would then be task the PISLM Secretariat, etc. Yes? Where's the chairman? Okay. Well, he did ask me to see. So I would then, as per, in pursuance of Article 1B, and, sorry, Article 2B and Article 3B and C, now submit the amended decision 4 for the consideration of members for approval. And so the question is there anyone who would like to move a motion to approve decision 4 of the 4th session of the PISLM Ministerial Council?
Chairman, I so move as amended.
Okay, Grenada moves as amended. Thank you, Grenada. Can I have someone second that motion? Thank you, Belize. Belize seconds the motion. Excellencies, this motion is now placed on the floor for adoption. Are there any members who wish to oppose the motion? Okay, there being none, this motion is now adopted. Excellencies, decision 4 of the 4th session of the PISLM Ministerial Council is now approved. As amended, for the record. Okay. On the advice of the chairman, who is not back yet, the advice is that taking into consideration that decision 5 and decision 6 are requests for authorizing the Secretariat to proceed, and there is no urgency. Taking into consideration the time sensitivity of the hour, his recommendation is that we move forward session 3 and 4 to the next ministerial council, which will be held in the shortest possible time. So I now put that recommendation on the floor for your consideration. That's decision 5, which is the status of the Caribbean Drought Initiative, and decision 6, which is the status of the Caribbean Sand and Dust Storm Initiative. Is there anyone who would like to move a motion to move these two decisions to these two items to the next ministerial council? No? You want to deal with it now? Okay.
But Chair, I don't see anything there we can approve. I'm looking at it actually. And, on the,
Okay, so let's turn to decision 5 now.
yeah,
Decision
I'm not
five.
the same Jones.
Right. Uh-huh.
The only thing that I may recommend
Uh-huh.
is that under acknowledgement, which is the penultimate paragraph.
Right.
Last paragraph.
Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
The only thing I would say here is that in the third sentence, which refers to present that when costs and then we add to the salary. Maybe we should indicate when.
Put on the mic. Yes,
Yeah.
that was in, yeah, correct. In
Yeah,
20,
just indicate
yeah.
when.
Uh-huh.
Just indicate when, and for me everything else is okay for adoption. So I see nothing else.
Okay, so we add, just for the record, let me just briefly run through this. The PISLM Ministerial Council recalling decision 24 Cup 16, also recalling decision 2 PMC 2. Just for those who are not familiar with this, in Cup 16 is where the whole mandate for dealing with drought was approved. Then the ministers in their meeting at Saudi Arabia approved this process, so it became a concept there. Recalling resolution 2/24 of the second session of the United Nations Environment Assembly concerning combating desertification, land degradation and drought, and promoting sustainable pastoralism and rangelands. Recalling also resolution 72/220 of the United Nations General Assembly, which call upon parties of the UNCCD to enhance and support the preparation of drought preparedness policies on, inter alia, early warning systems, vulnerability, and risk assessments, as well as drought risk mitigation measures. Recalling the Sustainable Development Goal Target 15.3 of combating desertification, restoring degraded land and soil, including land affected by desertification, drought, and floods, and striving to achieve a land degradation neutral world by 2030. Also recalling the adoption of land degradation neutrality as a primary goal of the UNCCD at the 12th session of the parties in 2015, Ankara, Turkey, in alignment with SDG target 15.3, noting and halting land degradation and increasing resilience to drought, including through sustainable land management, contribute to local, national, and global sustainable development while reducing poverty, displacement, and conflicts. Recognizing with appreciation the significance of the launch of the International Drought Resilience Alliance at the 27th session of the Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in November 2022, with its objective to strengthen drought resilience of ecosystems and communities, encourages all countries to join the alliance, acknowledging the significance and the applicability to the region of the findings of the Intergovernmental Working Group report on appropriate, effective policy measures to address drought at the global level, presented at UNCCD COP16 held in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the amendment is to include in 2025. Urges parties to build capacity for drought resilience, to invest or enhance investment in sustainable land management and drought initiatives as necessitates, while building proactive policies which lead to the implementation of projects and programs which reduce vulnerability in drought-affected areas, calls on parties and all their partners to enhance knowledge generation and change related to land degradation, desertification, and drought, as well as sand and dust storm events, including traditional knowledge, and create or strengthen the necessary platforms to achieve this goal. Calls on the PISLM to assist parties in the development or strengthening of their national drought plans, encourages parties and other stakeholders to continue supporting the implementation of national, regional, and global initiatives to combat desertification, land degradation, and drought. Request the executive director to A, initiate discussions at the earliest feasible opportunity with the appropriate Green Climate Fund accredited entity to agree on terms and to enter into a cooperation agreement for the further development and ultimate execution of this initiative, with the understanding that PISLM shall serve as the executing agency. B, use available global and regional mechanisms for strengthening relevant existing global partnerships and initiatives through networking. Promote sharing of best practices and success stories, as well as promoting nature-based solutions to advance land degradation neutrality, ecosystem restoration, and building resilience of communities and ecosystems to droughts. C, support parties to establish and invest in disaster risk management, early warning systems, and safety net programs as appropriate to help communities build resilience to extreme conditions of drought, flooding, sand, and dust storms. D, mobilize resources upon request to help parties affected by land degradation and drought to develop or strengthen their national drought plans. And Excellencies, your recommendation is that we move forward with the amendments. Are there any other? What is it? Okay, so this is the approved one. Okay. All right, so I'm being advised that number 4 should read as on the screen, encourages all parties. This went through a round of consultations with the UNCCD focal points, who recommended this paragraph instead of the one I just read, so my apologies. I did not have the correct version. So number 4 should read, encourages all parties to join the International Drought Resilience Alliance, and also encourages parties and other stakeholders to continue supporting the implementation of national, regional, and global initiatives to combat desertification, land degradation, and drought. So that's the correct paragraph 4. Yes? Okay, so we have a presentation that we will just briefly allow the spokesperson to give remarks rather than the presentation, I suppose. But before we do that, let me, as per Article 2B and Article 3B and C, now place this decision with amendments on the floor for your consideration. And therefore, the question is there anyone who would like to move a motion to approve Decision 5 of the 4th session of the PISLM Ministerial Council with amendments? St. Vincent and Grenadines, thank you very much. Can I have someone second that motion? Thank you very much, Barbados. Barbados seconds the motions. Excellencies, this motion is now placed on the floor for adoption. Are there any members who wish to oppose the motion? All right, there being none, This motion is now adopted. Excellencies, decision 5 of the 4th session of the PISLM Ministerial Council is now approved as adopted. Oh, somebody hand was raised. Who? Okay, before we sign off, we want to hear from Haiti, who is online. Hello.
Yes, Haiti approved also. Hello?
Yes, thank you. So we can go ahead now and approve with amendments. All right. Okay, so we just want to allow Dr. Roxanne Graham Vector just to introduce herself. She, along with her organization, has agreed to partner with the PISLM in the formation of the aspects of this project. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So honorable ministers, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends here and virtually, on behalf of the steering committee and the chair, Professor Paulette Vino, and the secretariat at GWPC, thank you once again for the invitation to this council and opportunity to present. My presentation features some important awareness factors regarding drought and building resilience and the role of GWPC. So the GWPC is basically the Caribbean arm of the Global Water Partnership, a global action network. GWPC is one of 13 regional partnerships working under the Global Water Partnership, which was established in 1996 by the World Bank, UNDP, and the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. Their shared goal is to promote integrated water resources management, so IWRM. Today, GWP is a global force with over 3,000 partner organizations in more than 183 countries, all advocating for IWRM as the most effective approach to achieve water security. So the vision is concise and clear, a water-secure Caribbean, and a big part of GWP's mission is the implementation of IWRM. Why? Because IWRM is the most effective way to achieve water security, and GWPC plays an enabling role by helping countries fill critical gaps in this process. We support resource mobilization through training and technical expertise. We bring stakeholders together, government, civil society, academia, to build inclusive, collaborative approaches. And we help countries develop and implement effective water policies and IWRM plans. The support is delivered through 5 key areas: advocacy, capacity building, knowledge sharing, technical support for countries, and building strong regional partnership, much like what we're doing today with PISLM. In very recent years, GWPC's work has directly supported drought resilience efforts across the Caribbean, helping countries build stronger systems to anticipate, manage, and recover from water stress. Just to share a few examples, in 2023, GWPC helped revitalize a community-managed dam in Grenada, a source of water security during dry periods, and supported the rollout of a water safety plan. That same year, GWPC also contributed to launch of Curaçao's Integrated Water Resource Management Policy Plan, which provides a strategic national framework to manage water sustainably in the face of growing drought risk. In 2024, we piloted an AI-powered smart irrigation system in Grenada known as Optimal. It uses sensor data and machine learning to optimize agricultural water use. So this is a vital tool for improving drought efficiency and resilience in farming communities. We've also focused a lot on youth engagement, running innovation challenges like the Caribbean Shark Tank to spark fresh ideas and empower young people to lead water solutions. On the knowledge sharing front, GWPC has facilitated both national and regional learning largely virtually. In 2023, GWPC co-hosted Climate Smart Agriculture and Agro-Processing workshops in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, bringing farmers and agro-processors together to explore sustainable drought-resilient practices. At the regional level, we've also hosted biannual science symposium, which has been incredible for cross-change exchanges and networking. And we were also planning on having one this year, actually. So I just want to bring this little extra information before I close. So complementary to like UNCCD, I just want to bring some awareness that under the UNFCCC, countries are encouraged to develop national adaptation plans or NAPs for long-term climate risk. And Grenada had its first NAP, for example, in 2017 to 2021. And after a broad stakeholder engagement process in recent years, including input from international and humanitarian partners as well, we're now just weeks away from submitting our revised NAP to Cabinet. That's the cover page you see right there. So the key takeaway here is that the NAP is nationally owned, locally driven tool that anchors Grenada's climate resilience and supports access, of course, to a very important topic, international finance, right? Climate finance. So in Grenada, the National Adaptation Plan directly supports water and food security. Those are two of our major program of actions through targeted on-the-ground actions. Just to mention a few, this includes finalizing a national drought management plan, increasing water storage with a focus on health facilities, strengthening climate smart agriculture training, and regularly assessing community vulnerability, all of which address unique gender vulnerabilities as well. So this IWRM-based approach, which reflects years of technical support and advocacy from GWPC, is now being brought to life through the WRMU, so that's the Water Management Resources Unit here in Grenada. So in the broader effort, GWPC and PISLM can continue to support the technical and institutional frameworks needed for IWRM and drought resilience throughout the Caribbean. So I'll end here. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, and colleagues and friends. Everything we've shared is not just happening in isolation. These are deliberate strategic steps in direct support of the Caribbean Drought Initiative. So to stay connected with us and follow these efforts that we've been doing, feel free to reach out. Our platforms are on the screen right there. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. We now come to the last decision on the agenda, Decision 6. Decision 6 is a decision that essentially calls on parties to empower the executive director to begin initiating a process through which will come out a concept for treating with and or maybe even mitigating against sand and dust storms. It is an emerging phenomena within the UNCCD processes. There is an intergovernmental working group that is actively looking at options. Further, it is a phenomenon that we experience. We are not the originators of these sand and dust storms, but they do affect our quality of life. And so the decision does two things. It encourages parties to begin to look at systems to treat with this phenomena, and it directs the Secretariat to do a couple of things. So, Chair, through you, having indicated once again that you would like to complete now, are there any parties, having read the decision, have any amendments to the chapeau? That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs before number 1.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So the second one before the
Or the same date, yes?
second one before number one.
Yeah.
There is some missing in the second line. Where it reads, welcoming the adoption of the decision by the 50th session of the Conference of the Parties 2D, something held in Abidjan.
Recommend the adoption of the decision 26 Cup 15
Yeah.
by the 15th session of the Cup of Parties to the, oh,
There's no mission there.
what do you have on it? Read what you have. So what's, I guess it was corrected. Yeah, it was corrected. It's UNCCD.
Okay.
Okay, so to the UNCCD. So that's the version that's there.
And then just a little thing,
Uh-huh.
just a little thing on the other page.
Okay, so now we go to the paragraphs,
No, but yeah, we go to the
right?
paragraph.
So
So paragraph
one,
one,
uh-huh,
the last phrase, the last line in the paragraph one, the capital S should be a common S if it's
or sand and dust,
Yeah.
common sand. Okay.
common S. Yes. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any other excellencies? Anyone else would like to lend to recommending amendments? I know we are deep into the afternoon and folks will just want to go and sleep now, right? All right, but again, the nature of this decision is to essentially empower the Secretariat to begin our due diligence and get to you probably in the next Ministerial Council a concept that can work with regards to our experience in sand and dust storm in the region. So, Chair, are there any other amendments? Okay, there being none, in pursuance of Article 2B and Article 3B and C, Chair, I now submit the amended decision 6 PMC 4 for consideration.
Is there anyone who would like to move a motion to approve the amended decision 6 of the fourth session?
St. Kitts and Nevis.
St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis acceded to move the motion. Any seconders? We need a seconder, please. Barbados second. Excellencies, this motion is now placed on the floor for adoption. Are there any members who wish to oppose the motion? There being none, this motion is now adopted by unanimous consent. Excellencies, decision 6 of the fourth session of the PISLM Ministerial Council is now approved. At this time, I will ask that we break for around 15 minutes for the executive members only to come back to closed session. We have some unfinished business to do. So the session is now suspended for 15 minutes. Thank you.